Hello, everyone. So we've been having fun here, going over these topics about, real estate agents in the industry, and just little. Somebody called it one time fireside chat. So I wanted to sort of just end off this series. If you missed the last two, I basically concluded that if let me just run through what a fantastic Frank model is. It's basically they're taking everything out of the home and they are styling it to the teeth and they're sparing no expense. So they are hiring top-notch photographers, top-notch stylists, and really it's sort of like a fashion show but in the living room in a kitchen, like they're not gonna, a fashion show person isn't gonna use like $2 cloth to make his garments for a fashion show, right? People know what they're looking at when they go to these, and they're going to notice that. So it's the same thing with homes, and I've always sort of wondered why this doesn't take over like this. I really have. I mean, for years I've been wondering. And we have this brokerage over in Europe, and they really concentrate on the presentation of the home and the photography and the styling and sort of gutting the home and taking all that crap out that the person has gathered over the last 20 years. The crap, too. I mean, people don't have good style, right? And not only that, even if they do, their furniture gets worn out. And it's just, we sort of concluded it's crazy to keep furniture in a home that's just from a person living there while they're marketing it, right? So what basically is going on at Fantastic Frank is they're marketing it to a top level, okay, as it should be. Just like when McDonald's markets their new Happy Meal or whatever, they're marketing it at a top level, right? They're not just cutting corners there. Just like when Toyota or anybody markets something, they're marketing it at a top level, all right? It doesn't make sense to me. So that's what they're doing. And so we sort of had the question in the middle of these videos, well, why isn't this catching on in the U.S.? Why don't they do this in the U.S.? And that's what I wanted to sort of expand on today. This video is going to be a more like a proof, quote unquote proof of that I think this model would work in the U.S. And I just don't think there's any denying it. And I think, you can go back and watch those other videos if you're really into the topic. And I find it sort of, as I said, endlessly interesting, these topics. So now, you got to understand, really, to really understand what I'm saying here. And I mean, look at this photo. I mean, I just picked these just at random. I mean, look at this photo. I mean, really, this is just some really, really nice stuff. All right. So now, what's basically happening here? Now, what I want to imagine is I know the Orange County real estate market pretty well. I just want everyone to imagine, and you can imagine this in your own neighborhood. What if Fantastic Frank came to Orange County or came to, Dayton, Ohio, wherever you happen to be, and they started doing this in your neighborhood? So they started doing this in Newport Beach, right? So homes would be marketed to the teeth, like no expense would be spared whatsoever. And so some of the stuff that you may have been reading between the lines of my last videos is they're actually spending a lot more on the marketing, right? They're spending a lot more on the photography and the styling. I mean, this is a serious deal here. Like I said, I think it's good to compare it to like a fashion, like a runway show, because what you're doing in a sense is sort of making this home at 1603, Newport Drive, you're making it a stylistic statement now. Oh, look, if somebody buys this home, I mean, wow, a person from Paris came in and did that styling. And that was actually one of the questions I had. Like, do some of these things stay, or could that be a request of the buyer? Like they love this so much, they want the bedroom to stay like this, and that might be the way they might handle it at Fantastic Frank. That might be a separate cost, right? And then if you want to just buy the house bare bones, that might be, I don't know, I really don't know. But anyway, that's sort of a separate topic. But I think a lot of you who are on the same page as me are understanding right now, wow, this totally would catch on. The women in the neighborhoods in Newport Beach would chatter, and the stuff, oh, that stylist from France came in and did the styling, and it would look really good, of course, and it would be sort of different from because Newport homes right now, they look really nice, but they have a tendency to be the same and the same sort of styling. This would be more of like a a European influence. You know what I'm saying? It would be different and still just as good, if not better. And I think it's no doubt in my mind it would catch on. And not only that, but I think the home prices would start going for more. And I'm not saying a lot more, but more. Okay, so for example, let's just say, just so I'm clear on this, let's just say there's an area with an average median home sale price of 2 million, and the first 10 homes Fantastic Frank sells there, maybe they're going 2.1 or 2.2, right? They're spending more, and that's what I was getting at with the when I was trying to convince you that maybe real estate agents do get a little bit too much, because what are they doing? They're not even doing their job, right? They're not even, a real estate agent's job is to make a marketing piece out of the home that's just, superb. That's what they're doing here. That's exactly what they're doing, and they're spending money to do that. And so where would that money come from? It would just come off the top a little bit, right? Like from the brokerage or maybe from the agent. I don't know. None of that stuff's up to me. I have no idea. But people would be making less money, the agent and the brokerage. And that sort of makes sense to me, actually. They're getting top dollar for the home and they're making a little bit less. Because personally, when I think about an agent getting $60,000 for a $2 million home, and they tell the client to clean the garage, I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me, and then the house is just left as it was. That doesn't make sense at all. So I think the next thing you have to ask yourself, if you don't agree with me, is like, everywhere we go, like, you don't criticize McDonald's or any of these people for buying ads during the Super Bowl, right? Because we all sort of know that works. They're spending top dollar, and they know the reason they do that is they know it works, right? They're spending top dollar on these ad campaigns in these commercial spots. They're just going all out and spending like millions of dollars for a 30-second spot, right? It would be crazy to say to me right now, well, that doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. Well, why do they do it then, right? And so I would tell you the same thing here. They're styling these homes to the T. They're spending a lot of money. We understand that. But to tell me it doesn't work, that would just be crazy to me. That would just be insane. I mean, I think we'd see them come in. And I know for a fact, I really do. I know for a fact the homes would garner more interest. And what I personally think would happen is sort of what I was alluding to earlier, where shopping for homes would be a little bit more like going to Fashion Island and, women sort of walking around and seeing a handbag they like. I mean, I'm serious, because people in these areas have a lot of money. You drive by a house, open house, honey. You jump in there, I always wanted to see inside this house. And then you see a home like this. What do you think is going to happen when women see homes that look like this, with a pool right here and stuff? I mean, people are going to buy more houses. They're going to move a little bit more, and things are going to change up a little bit. The numbers are going to go up. It's definitely true. I just don't see how you could even possibly deny it. I mean, there's people out there that have these false notions that homes are just going to sell for, if the house is $1 million, it's going to sell for $1 million. That's not the way things work, okay? People wouldn't spend money on ad campaigns if that was true, okay? That's what we can say about that. They just wouldn't, all these corporations out there, they wouldn't spend any money on advertising if a laptop so-and-so by Mac was just they could just price it and sell it. No, they have to do the advertising, okay? And they have to make it really good, all right? So I alluded to this, and I think the first video I did on this series. Why isn't this happening then? Well, this is sort of the nefarious part of the answer, but I guarantee if you looked into this, what I guarantee you'd find is there's certain regulations and stuff, and I bet there would be a lot of red tape around this. And what do we always find when we sort of follow the money? We find a certain people that are usually making a lot of money, and they just don't want things to change. And I don't know how anybody out there, honestly, if you really watch these few videos, how you could not agree with me, because you see the MLS and sort of how the real estate associations are operated. They're operated by people that I don't feel have very good aesthetics at all when it comes to stuff like this, right? Photography and fashion and styling and stuff. So how could that possibly be, right? Well, it could. Everything I'm if you look at it from my point of view, everything actually makes exact sense. Those people are sort of stuck there because they've sort of manipulated the system, and they're in power, and they don't want anything to change, and they want the certain people to just keep making the same amounts of money, right? That's sort of how all things work in our society. But if I was right, and the world was just more of a fair place, I mean, how are you going to tell me that something like this wouldn't take over? I mean, really, how are you going to tell me that? That's just, I don't know. I just, sometimes I get in discussions with people. I just don't. There's not much to say. I mean, how can I prove it to you? I can't really prove it, but when you're looking at material like this, it should just be self-evident to you. This would sell itself and then some, all right? This is a top-notch piece of art, and it's going to sell this house. And there's going to be more potential overseas buyers. There's going to be all sorts of stuff going on. The more sort of they spend on the marketing, and like I was saying, getting a world-renowned stylist in there and using her name sort of in the marketing and all that stuff. And yeah, that's exactly how I see it. That's exactly how I think everything goes down. I think it's just sort of, the way I sort of see the world sometimes is there's just little mafias everywhere. We don't really call them mafias or cartels, whether it's in the government or in the real estate industry. And those people, whoever they are, they're usually the ones just, you see busy on their phones, and they're driving in their Jaguar or whatever. They're the ones sort of in control and just are manipulating everything in their favor. I mean, I really see things like that. And I don't think it's I really don't see it as a defeatist view or anything like that. And I'm not complaining, and I'm not sour grapes, nothing like that. I mean, I'm fine with it all, but I just think that's how it works, okay? So, as I always say in this series, leave your scathing comments down below. I hope you enjoyed that series. I think I'll end it there. I've been ranting on enough for the 2 or 3 weeks. But, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next one.